She was the kind of girl people often overlooked. Not because she was invisible, but because she was quiet. She listened more than she spoke, observed more than she complained. Inside her, however, lived a storm of thoughts, dreams, and unanswered questions. From a young age, she learned how to be strong without being taught. Life demanded maturity from her earlier than it should have. Responsibilities replaced carefree laughter, and expectations weighed heavier than comfort. Still, she smiled, because she believed smiling was easier than explaining pain. There were nights when the world felt unbearably loud and lonely at the same time. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if her dreams were too big for someone like her. Doubt whispered cruel things, telling her she was not enough, not brave enough, not talented enough. Sometimes, she believed it. But something inside her refused to give up. Every failure taught her patience. Every rejection sharpened her courage. While others moved ahead confidently, she moved slowly, but she never stopped. She learned that progress did not always look like success, sometimes, it looked like survival. She worked on herself quietly. No announcements, no validation, no applause. Just small steps taken daily with tired hands and a determined heart. On the days she felt weak, she rested. On the days she felt broken, she healed. And on the days she felt lost, she reminded herself why she started. Slowly, the girl who once doubted her worth began to recognize her strength. She stopped seeking approval and started trusting her instincts. She understood that choosing herself was not selfish, it was necessary. One day, she looked back and realized how far she had come. The pain was still part of her story, but it no longer defined her. She had grown into someone resilient, compassionate, and fearless in her own quiet way. She didn't become perfect. She became real. And that was her greatest victory. After that realization, life did not suddenly become easy. Challenges still appeared, sometimes in familiar forms, sometimes disguised as new beginnings. But now, she faced them differently. She no longer asked, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, she asked, "What is this trying to teach me?" She learned to set boundaries, even when it made her uncomfortable. She learned to walk away from people who only loved the version of her that stayed silent. And she learned that not everyone deserved access to her softness. Her kindness remained, but it was no longer unprotected. There were moments when fear tried to return, knocking quietly at her confidence. On those days, she reminded herself of the girl she once was, the one who survived nights she thought would break her. Compared to that, she realized she was stronger than she ever gave herself credit for. She began to dream again. Not the careless dreams of childhood, but grounded dreams shaped by effort, discipline, and belief. She understood that dreams did not work unless she did, and she was finally ready to show up for herself fully. The world still didn't always notice her, and that was okay. She no longer needed to be seen to feel valuable. Her worth was no longer tied to validation, praise, or comparison. She carried it within her, steady and unshakable. And if someday someone asked her how she became so strong, she wouldn't speak of pain in detail. She would simply smile and say, "I didn't become strong overnight. I became strong every time I chose not to give up." Because her story was never about being loud or extraordinary. It was about endurance, growth, and a quiet courage that refused to disappear.